Okay, welcome everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call the October 7th, 2025 special board meeting to order. Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mrs. Detweiler.
Present.
Mr. Hooley.
Yes.
Mr. McCartney.
Present.
Mr. Votaw.
Here.
Mrs. Walker.
Here. Let's all take a moment for silent prayer and meditation. Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the October 7th, 2025 agenda for the Jonathan Alder School Board of Education meeting, special meeting?
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Detweiler.
Yes.
Mr. Hooley.
Yes.
Mr. McCartney.
Yes.
Mr. Votaw.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
The motion passes.
May I have a motion to approve the presented annual budget and three-year forecast?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Ingles?
Okay.
All right, thank you, Ms. Walker. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. I know it's a rainy day, so appreciate you guys spending the evening with us. I'm going to go over a general fund 5-year forecast and kind of go over some of the changes that we've had since May and kind of explain operationally where we stand. This is separate from bond, what we're talking about, but it all tied together. So first of all, usually I don't do this in October. Usually this is November. The reason for this is that there was a state budget included a change in the filing deadlines. So in the past, it was the end of May and the end of November when I had to file this forecast. For this year, they changed it to the end of February and October 15th, which this morning they announced actually it's October 24th now. And then next year will be end of February and end of August. Really no rhyme or reason for this, but we gotta go with it. And also, they chopped off the last year of the forecast. The state does not want to see 5 years, they only want to see 4 years. Again, really no rhyme or reason, but I'm still going to be preparing and presenting to the board a 5-year forecast because it is for better best practice to have a longer range planning period. Speaking of the state budget, last time I gave this presentation, we were still in negotiations. The House passed its version, the Senate hasn't passed their version yet. Since then, a budget has been passed and signed by the governor, who also did a lot of vetoes. There have been one veto override so far. The House and Senate can do any other veto overrides they wish up until December 31st, 2026. I do have to say, though, that the overrides that they have done and are considered doing won't have an impact here in Jonathan Alder based on how we structured our levies and how we get our revenue. So that's some good news there, but it's still something that's on our radar. And the purposes of this forecast is, to engage the board and the community in long-range financial planning. That is a way we can identify areas of concern before they become a real problem. They also serve the basis of my ability to sign certificates and contracts with vendors and our teachers and our staff. I got certified that we have the money to meet our obligations, and this allows us to do so. And also provides a method for how the Department of Education and Workforce and the auditor state to identify districts that would need their assistance. Our general fund revenue sources for this fiscal year, which runs July through June, so July 25 through June to 26, is estimated to be $34.5 million, of which 69% is coming from local sources. So that is property and income taxes. Again, this is for operating dollars, which are keeping the lights on and paying our staff, providing benefits, and basically keeping our doors open. Our state foundation is only estimating at 27%. That's the money that the state kicks in to help support our operations. Unfortunately, that's going to be a trend going forward. I'm not seeing this changing at all anytime soon. The funding formula looks at us as a wealthy district, therefore the state is only kicking in 20% of what it calculates it costs to educate a student here at Jonathan Alder. So we're not expecting additional state support than what we're already getting. I do have to mention that there's currently 17 bills pending at the State House that deals with property tax reform. Until something is passed and signed into law, I'm not going to factor into a forecast because there's too many variables to consider. But it is something that we're keeping an eye on, and I do want to stress that any bills, all the bills being considered right now, exempt bond issues. So if the bond does pass in November, whatever they pass down at the State House will not touch it. They're only looking at operating levies. Our expenses for fiscal year 26, estimated to be $32.8 million. This is operating expenses, so not including transfers to other funds, reserves. So salary and wages, 80.5% of our budget. That is typical. We are a service organization. We need to pay people to provide services, to provide education, to support our teachers, support our staff, support our students, and that's where the money's going. And that's a trend that's going to continue going forward. We are experiencing enrollment growth. That's why we're here. That's why we're discussing a bond issue. That's why we're looking to expand our facilities. That also drives our operating costs. So we are factoring in our enrollment increases, realized and projected into our budgets, as well as the inflation rate. Schools are not exempt from the high inflation that everyone has seen the last few years. While it's come down, prices themselves are not going down, so it's just a smaller compounding factor there. But we are utilizing this as a method for long-range planning. We are budgeting for increased staffing due to enrollment. So for each additional 25 students as projected, we're adding additional employee, and that includes their salary and benefits. So that way, when it comes, we are able to say what we have budgeted for, we know what we can hire, what we can afford. Curriculum adoptions, working with Mrs. Quick, our assistant superintendent, that's built into our forecast. Those are on cycles. So every 6 years, there's going to be a subject that's up for readoption. So curriculum, so science and social studies was this year. We have math all the way out of fiscal year 29. So that's showing how we're using this tool as a way to budget, have long-range budgeting. Technology replacement cycles, work with Mrs. Byers to identify when there's going to be years where they've got high costs of replacing equipment. Every year is going to see a wholesale replacement of costly equipment, but it might be every other year, it might be every third year. That way we have a cycle in place and we can plan and budget for it. And also including the inflation that we've been seeing, and of course, just keeping an eye on revenue trends and impacts of policy decisions. So that's policy decisions not only locally, but at the state level and also at the federal level. All of that plays a role in impacting our operating budget. Our ending cash balance, and this is in days. So how many days can we operate if no revenue comes in at the end of each fiscal year? So you can see between those green band and the red band, we're well within our board adopted policy of maintaining a positive cash balance. When we get down to fiscal year 2030, which of course the state doesn't want to see, we're a little below that policy, but Dr. Miller and I discussed, we're going to wait until I do this update in February to see where we stand. We'll have new property values by then, so we'll see what that looks like, and then see where we can make tweaks to our long-range plan to get us above that red band per our board policy. So again, that's us using this to identify areas of concern well ahead of time, so we don't do anything drastic at the last minute and have to rush. One of the changes that I didn't really mention is the fact that this is no longer called a 5-year forecast. Per the state, they gave it the great title of annual budget plus 3 forecasting years. I like to call it the forecast, it was 4 years, but because this is our current year budget, we're also monitoring it every, more than once a month, but definitely at least once a month, seeing if we're on trend. So our end cash balance at the end of September, so about a quarter of the way through the fiscal year, shows that we're right on track. Same thing with our revenues. There's a little bit of a gap between the plan and the actual because I was expecting Union County's real estate summit to hit in August. We actually didn't receive it until September. So there's a little bit of a gap there based on when I was expecting it versus when it happened. But once it received, we got right back on track. And our expenses are lining right up to expectations. So this is a way that we use this tool to make sure that we're on track. If there's any major variances, identify them early, make any course corrections as needed. But as of right now, we're right on track, 1 quarter of the way. So thank you for listening. If the board has any questions, I'll take them.
I have a question.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for preparing this report, and thank you for the work you're doing. I want to, there's been a lot of talk about property tax reform.
Mm-hmm.
And earlier you said of the 17 pending
Yes.
bills, they all exempt bond issues.
Yes.
Can you address what that means a little bit further?
Yeah, so what that means is that what the legislature is looking at is operating levies. So the money that gets brought in that operates our buildings. And the reason for that is because debts have a limited purpose. It is only set up to service the debt that a school district would take on, or a city, township, county. It would affect every entity. So they don't want to risk upsetting the bond market and have a basic economic catastrophe if they were to suddenly take away that revenue source. So since it's dedicated for that one purpose, they're not targeting it. What they're targeting is, school districts are on the 20 mil floor where they see revenue increases as tax values go up, and we're trying to cap that. They're trying to just put limits on, for inflation, for tax revenue increases. And they're also just trying to limit the frequency of tax levy requests and also the types. So that's what they're doing. But all that is accepting bond issues. So if this were to pass, whatever legislation passes, everything's going to keep operating the way it always has been when it comes to a bond.
Okay, so to flip it a little bit, if I was expecting property tax relief, as it stands right now, is there any other way proposed by the state to build a school building but for a bond?
No. They, based on the current biennium budget, which got passed this past June, they gave a little increase to the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission, but not enough to fund all the projects that are needed. The state still expects to have some kind of local skin in the game. So that would come from having local revenue to help offset the cost of any projects. So that's just something where the state's not looking to kick in any more money to help us here. It is still going to be relying on our local taxpayers to help fund the project.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay.
Great report. Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're ready for roll call when you are, Mr. Ingles.
All right. Mrs. Detweiler.
Yes.
Mr. Hooley.
Yes.
Mr. McCartney.
Yes.
Mr. Votaw.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, this is the portion of our special meeting in which we have invited the community to come in and engage with the board. First of all, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. This is the third meeting we have had a special meeting in which we have invited the community to come. I want you to know that you're all invited to come to every single board meeting. They're only once a month. They're super fun and entertaining, but you're always invited to come and check on what's going on in the school district. But in reference specifically to this bond and our building plan, this is now the third meeting that we are having. And we came here tonight to address any additional questions or concerns. So if you would like to ask a question, you are welcome to walk up to the mic. I did receive a few questions from people coming in, so I'm going to go through those, or statements, real quickly first. And do you guys hear wind, or is it just?
It's the band next door.
Oh. Okay. Is that better? Okay. All right, first, I'm going to go through the couple questions that I have in front of me now, or statements. The first is from Amy Kelley. Amy, do you want to?
I have a prepared statement that I can, it's not a question.
Would you mind coming up so everybody can hear you? And apparently you need to stand close enough to the mic for it to actually work.
Oh, I need to find my note.
That's okay, take your time.
Maybe somebody else wants to go.
That's fine.
I'm gonna need to reference it because I'm a horrible
No, that's
speaker.
fine. Mr. Storts, did you have a statement you would like to make to the board or a question? That's okay. Come on up, we'd love to hear from you.
It's not a question. I wanted, and I'm probably preaching to the choir, as we should say, but we have a farm on Plain City, Georgesville Road. I've got a few years more experience than most of you, but I also have 7 grandchildren that either are attending or graduated from Jonathan Alder schools. And if you count my grandson's wife, we have 8. I have 8 grandchildren that graduated from Jonathan Alder schools. And your presentation was spot on. I want to say I would love to have that presentation.
You can have it.
He did a very good job, by the way. I've been following this pretty closely. Very interesting to me about the budget vetoes and the property tax issues and how Ohio, I'm going to say something maybe that you wouldn't have said. Ohio is a very interesting state. Ohio puts the emphasis on local support for schools. The state, he said 20%.
20% is for this fiscal year what we're getting from the state.
And how does that compare to the other states?
Very low.
We're 48 out of 50. So it's local dollars to support your schools. And I also have been following research on our education and what makes, a good school and good education. And reading, math, science, but money. And there's been a lot of research recently. Local money makes better schools. That's an important fact, and we have to rely on local money. And for those of you who don't have kids, and don't have teachers, and don't have coaches, and don't have any ties, if you're here because you think this is a tax, this is the best investment you can make. Because one of my grandkids is a mechanical engineer, and he makes sure the bridges we drive on are safe. He's local, looking at the local bridges. I have another grandchildren who does bookkeeping and taxes for you and your small businesses here locally. I have another grandson who is in the medical field, and he works with materials and prosthetics. So if you get injured falling off a bridge, you can go to him and get your repairs. And he's a graduate of Jonathan Alder High School. And I have another grandson who's studying law, so he'll take care of your law requirements. I have another grandson who's working at Eli Lilly, who takes care of your medicine. We're farmers. My grandkids help us take care of your food. The best investment you can make, if you don't have any kids, if you don't have anything other than making investments, the best investment you can make is to support our local schools and put the money where your mouth is. And I'll try to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Storts. I'd like to add to that and say that I know a lot of people don't love paying taxes. I'm one of them. We're going to see this, though. We're going to see the buildings in our community. We're going to watch them go up. This isn't a matter of sending your dollars to the federal government. You have no idea where they go. You will watch every phase of this development happen. And it will be done efficiently, and it will be done with, well, being money conscious. But you will see your tax dollars. It is an investment, and I thank you very much, Mr. Storts, for your comments. Okay, Amy? Thank you.
My name is Amy Kelley. I am a parent of a Plain City Elementary student. She's a first grader this year. I'll have a kindergartner next year. So both my children will attend Plain City Elementary School. I'm a Dublin City Schools teacher, and I have been for 10 years. Prior to that, I was in Westerville, so I'm a longtime teacher and believer and supporter of the schools. And so I wanted to take a minute and thank you guys for two things. Number one, the athletic passes this year have been such a special thing for my family to experience. My daughter has gotten to go to volleyball games where one of the senior players was addressed publicly at the game for her 1,000th kill. And if you don't think my daughter doesn't want to go do something like that, you're crazy. She is so inspired. So thank you for that. When this bond issue came back on the ballot after not passing in May by 16 votes, which was the slimmest of slim margins, we almost didn't pass in Dublin by 200 votes, and I thought that was a slim margin. So imagine how 13 or 16 felt to me. I decided to be the neighborhood captain for Darby Station, which is my neighborhood. I am part of the growth. I am a reason people are upset at the growth, but I am here to contribute and plead our case as this new neighborhood who is so excited to be a part of this school district. I've only been here for a short time, but growing up in Dublin, I always passed through town on my way to college. I've only lived here since November of 2023, and I've been very fortunate to feel the love of my kids' teachers in a very short time. Their dedication and commitment to my kid, I only have one there now, and her well-being is something I will never second guess. From extra special fitness time with Ms. Farwell, or COG enrichment in first grade because of a stellar math score, which I'm so proud of, but so amazed she gets that kind of service here already. It's just second to none. I can't imagine a world where we don't support this bond issue. I can't imagine not supporting these amazing teachers behind me. And I can't imagine what it's going to be like if it doesn't pass. The most reassuring aspect of this bond issue for me is that as more people do move in, which I know isn't the most exciting thing for all, is that our individual contributions will decrease. We will not all be paying the same amount of money year after year after year. The more people, truly the merrier. There is no place like home, and I'm so delighted to call Plain City ours. Dr. Miller, Board of Education, teachers, political advisory campaign members, thank you so much for your dedication. Thank you for coming to talk to my neighborhood last night. Thank you for thinking of our kids and working tirelessly. Like, I saw you all last night, and I know you're exhausted, and I can't believe you're sitting here tonight. You worked tirelessly to give us our best foot forward, and I thank you so much.
Thank you. Amy, we haven't met personally yet, but I just wanted to say welcome to Plain City. Your words mean a lot, especially considering your background and your knowledge, so thank you very much, and we're excited to have your kids.
Thanks. They're excited to be here.
Okay, and then we have one question from Mr. Bayless. Come on up.
Sorry about formulating so fast.
Mr. Bayless, I feel like I've sat behind you twice at the football games.
Probably, yeah. So my name's Trevor Bayless. I'm an alumni, graduated in 21. We're currently attending Columbus State, majoring in civil engineering, planning on doing either urban planning or transportation planning, maybe both, I don't really know. I also have a brother who is a senior this year. He's in the marching band, plays clarinet. But I really want this to pass because it would leave such a tremendous impact on our community. But I also question what would happen if it doesn't pass. Like, because I feel like there shouldn't be a way where it doesn't pass and just do nothing. There's got to be like something that we have to do because we're growing and the school isn't. So there's got to be something we can do.
Yes, you're correct. I'm going to let Dr. Miller address some of that, but I will say something has to pass. If it doesn't pass now, there will be temporary measures that Dr. Miller will talk about. But eventually, we're still going to have to pass a bond. Every 6 months, every year that we wait, the price goes up due to inflation and building costs that will add millions to the same building project that we could get today. So it's going to keep coming back. Will it come back every 6 months? Probably not, but it will be back. Dr. Miller?
Thank you. Mr. Bayless?
Yep.
Excellent question. I appreciate you asking and me having the opportunity to address this. If it doesn't pass, regardless, we are required by law to educate our children. And we have thousands of homes that we're expected over the next 5 to 10 years. And our buildings are reaching capacity. And so it's my responsibility and it's Mrs. Quick's responsibility to make sure that every child that's enrolled in Jonathan Alder has the very best educational experience as possible. I want to give you a couple of scenarios and share that this is not a final plan. This is lots of moving parts. This is a draft plan. I'm actually going to be presenting it to the board next week. And I'm going to be asking the school board to authorize me to be able to make some decisions on what I think is best for the families that continue to move in and how we're going to carefully balance where those students sit in front of their teachers, okay? At Plain City Elementary, we've reached capacity. We're more than 100% capacity, but it is complicated because we could take more fourth graders, but we can't take more second graders. I can give you a very hard scenario that tomorrow we have a family move in and they have a second grader and a fourth grader. We don't have enough second grade seats, but we do have enough fourth grade seats. We can enroll their child at fourth grade, but we might have to send their second grader to Monroe. Well, that's not what we want to do to our families. We need to think about every scenario is going to look a little bit differently. So I'm working with JAEA. The JAEA president is with us this evening, and I want to thank Mrs. Nicole Lorenz because she's done just a fabulous job working with the board and administration through these capacity issues. And the board approved just last month or 2 months ago a letter of understanding that allows us, if we put that second grader in the second grade class and we maximize and enroll a student over the teacher contract cap, well, we can just pay that teacher additional funds to take that extra student, whether it's over 25 or over 28, but we also know that that's not sound practice for best teaching and learning. So we can do that with the different scenarios with families that are coming in, so we want to have some flexibility. We could begin busing Plain City Elementary students to Monroe because there's extra seats at Monroe in second grade. But then we are going to have more transportation costs, more mileage, more fuel. We also want to be courteous and understanding of our families that move to Monroe, want their children to go to Monroe, and families that move to Plain City want the Plain City Elementary School. I would send my child to either of our outstanding elementaries, but if a family moves here like Amy to the neighborhood that says your children will go to Plain City Elementary and they move in, they're still building houses in Darby Station, and we say they can't go to Plain City Elementary, we need to bus them to Monroe. those are the complications that we're dealing with right now. So something else that can happen, Mr. Bayless, is I'll recommend to the school board, let's bring in some modular classrooms and sit them at Plain City Elementary. Well, families like Amy might not want their child in modulars that are sitting on the parking lots at Plain City Elementary. And if we get into it later tonight, Mr. Ingles can share with you how expensive the modulars are. You have to connect them up to water, electric, and maybe they're not as safe or as sound for teaching and learning. So taxpayer dollars would go to a temporary fix, classroom modulars, okay? So that is one of those moving parts. Another piece to this is, well, we have a district line that separates Plain City Elementary and Monroe Elementary. Well, let's just redraw the line in a way where we have to shift more Plain City Elementary students to Monroe. Sounds simple, but when we went through a 4-month community advisory team meeting last fall, exactly this time, we were talking about, well, let's redistrict and redraw the line to even out the number of students that go to Plain City and the number of students that go to Monroe. But it was a very emotional and challenging conversation to have because, like I said, the families that move to Monroe want their children going to Monroe. The families that move to the north part of Plain City expect their students to go to Plain City Elementary. So redrawing that line is also a difficult correction. So with all that being said, Mr. Bayless, I basically just wanted to let you know that there's not a finalized plan. All of the moving parts that I just mentioned are the things that I'm going to ask the board for next week to give me the authorization to do what I think is best for every child in Jonathan Alder.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Mr. Baylor. And keep going. It sounds like you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Dr. Miller, when you talked about the modular trailers, that's not just a Plain City potential.
Correct.
Could that be possible for all of our schools?
So what I've been working on the last couple months is a sound plan for the board that puts us through the next 3 years that makes sense, where it's just not putting 4 or 6 modular classrooms at Plain City Elementary. It's spacing them out at each building so that by the time we have a junior high, grade 6, 7, and 8 at the high school site, those modulars are sitting exactly where we would want them to be, whether it's even at the old junior high, where we can have central office and PK classrooms move into the modulars after the students move into the new junior high. And since the old junior high is being renovated, we can have the modulars sitting there, not have to pay taxpayer dollars to move those modulars that we are currently leasing or purchase. So the plan that I share with the board after November 4th will be a phased plan on what I think is best to a cost savings plan by following the enrollment projections over the next 3 years.
If this bond were to pass in November, would construction happen quickly enough that modulars would not be needed? Could you take extraordinary measures to get it by without modulars, do you think?
I can tell you, we're going to have to see what the enrollment looks like, but I can share that there are things that I'm looking at are unique, such as if we want to not get modulars the very first year and create 2 4th grade classrooms to be at Canaan Middle School, maybe enrichment classes where there's only 2 4th grade classes there, not have any modulars, it's a possibility, and I think that we can make it work. I'm still determining if I think that's what's best for the 4th grade class and those families. But Plain City Elementary cannot increase its capacity. When that building was built, it was built for 625 or 650 students. You calculate that capacity by, OFCC has a calculation, and Josh, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's 25 students per regular classrooms. Not labs, not computer rooms, not art rooms. But what happens over a decade and a half when the enrollment grows, principals and administration will convert a non-regular classroom into a classroom to create capacity over time. So I'm going to give you an exact example. A computer lab that was built at Plain City Elementary back in 2008 or 2009, they're not using the computer labs anymore because we're one-to-one. Let's convert that lab into a regular classroom. Now, per specifications of OFCC, that building is still originally built for 650 students, but over time, capacity increased to basically 4 more classrooms were converted. And so now it can take 750 students, but we have 777 students in that building. You cannot create or develop any more capacity at Plain City Elementary. However, at Canaan, we might be able to create 2 more classrooms and convert them into regular classrooms to increase the capacity and take 4th graders to that building. And so, do we move 4th graders to, all 4th graders to Canaan with modulars sooner than the 3 years it takes to build a junior high? All of those things are going to be in the plan that I'm going to present to the board, but I think I need to see what takes place on November 4th to give you a sound 3-year plan.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Does anybody want to talk about modulars and the upside downsides?
I'd like to address just a couple things, not on modulars, but just to share with all of you. Thank you for coming out in the rain. I'm the newest board member, so 2 years in, and my regular job is on radio, where I talk a lot about education, a lot about local Columbus schools, suburban schools, Orange, Old Townsend, Berlin, Dublin, Hilliard, all that. And I heard all the horror stories, and I felt like I was equipped to deal with education issues, and that's why I wanted to make myself available to run for the board. I've been blown away by our leadership, by our teachers, how great they are, how invested they are in our kids. And that's just not my personal opinion. We had a state report came out in mid-September that they rate every school district in the state of Ohio, 611 districts in the state of Ohio. And they give each district a star rating. And there are a lot of factors that go into that. We all know there was a learning loss during COVID, so they measure the learning gap closure. They measure attendance, they measure graduation rate, they measure a lot of things. And Jonathan Alder Schools came out with a 4.5 star rating on a 5-point scale. So there are 2 other districts that touch our district that also received 4.5 stars, Dublin and Fairbanks. But if you take our enrollment and divide it by our budget, there's another metric the state has, which is called the State Auditor's Spending Efficiency Map. And it's a very simple metric. They evaluate your students' test scores across the board, and then they look and see what you're spending per pupil. Take your budget, divide it by your total enrollment, that's how much you're spending per pupil. So Dublin had 4.5 stars, Fairbanks has 4.5 stars, Alder has 4.5 stars. Alder spends $10,213 to educate each student. Fairbanks spends $11,800. So it's been $1,600 more per student. And Dublin spends $13,500. So I know we're talking apples and oranges, bonds to operating funds, which, you know, if you approve the bond, that's not going to pay teachers, that's not going to educate students. Essentially, it sort of is, because we're having a new building to put students in. But I bring that up to demonstrate that, thanks to Mr. Ingles, and thanks to our curriculum director and everything, we have a very responsive administration, and we're very cost conscious. And I'm very pleased the bang we're getting for our buck. So I think you can take from that we are very careful with how we spend your money and the kind of results that we get from your money. And I just want to offer one other number. I told you the star rating is a metric for how schools are doing throughout the state of Ohio. The auditor who calculates that, how much are you spending per pupil number, also folds test scores into that to come up with a rating that's different from the star rating. And as I said, there's 611 districts in the state of Ohio. So the top 61 would be in the top 10 percentile, 91st percentile to 100th percentile. Alder is in that group. We are 44th in the state. Remember I said Dublin has 4.5 stars? We're 44th. Alder, 44th. Dublin is 373rd. Fairbanks, 4.5 stars. You spend $1,600 more per student. Fairbanks is 220. We're 44th. Everybody else around us, if you're curious, Mechanicsburg is 92nd, Hilliard is 418, West Jefferson is 401, London is 221. So there's a reason why people want to move here, and the reason why is our schools. A lot of other reasons too. We have great community, super community support, but that's the observation 2 years into a 4-year term of somebody who didn't know what I was going to find when I got on this board. And we have amazing people in this district. And I promise you they will do a great job for our students, for your grandchildren, and for every student they have. They care very deeply about them. And so do we.
Bruce, can you clarify a little bit what that 44th ranking exactly is?
Yeah, they're looking at, they're folding in how much you spend per pupil relative to your student body-wide state mandated test scores. And our test scores and the amount we spend per pupil, they come up with a ratio, and we're 44th from the top. So I don't know who the first, I don't know what the #1 district is. They might spend more money per pupil. My guess is they do, but maybe their test scores are higher. So it's kind of a balancing act. But in terms,
Is the fair takeaway there that JA is super efficient with
that is the takeaway.
money and all of our kids?
That is the takeaway. And you can all Google this. Just go home and Google state auditor spending efficiency map. And it's very easy. You have a map of the state of Ohio with every district, broken out on the map. And the ones that are in green are in the top 10%, and all there is in green. And you can move your mouse around and check every district throughout the state of Ohio, wherever you went to school, or you're curious about any other district, what they're spending per pupil and where they rank. State auditor spending efficiency map.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any comments they would like to make? Questions? Mr. White?
Hello.
There.
Don't want to be too loud. Nathan White, I'm a resident here in Plain City, and my son, of course, is in the district. I have 12 questions, but I whittled it down. Figure we want to go home, right? But I part two, the redundancy. I know y'all probably said a lot of these things, but we see a lot of misinformation. And for me, it is coming here to get facts and to get pertinent information. So I took that list of 12 and whittled it down. I'm open to whomever wants to answer each question, but the first one I have is, what signs are you seeing that the district has outgrown their current buildings? And I feel like Dr. Miller clearly articulated that, but are there any other signs that we're seeing beyond that?
Well, we're 21 students over capacity right now in Plain City Elementary. We're 37 under at Canaan, we're 20 over at junior high, and we're 23 under at the high school. So some of those junior high kids are obviously going to be at the high school next year. But we're pretty crammed to the gills in every building. And our goal with this bond and the size of this junior high school is that we'll have room to accommodate growth that our two, we've employed two firms that specialize in projecting enrollment growth, and their projections are very close. And both of those firms say that if we build this building the way we want to build it, we'll be able to accommodate growth that's a little bit more than we anticipate. They're very good at what they do, so it's probably unlikely to happen with 10 years out. So our goal would be to not come to our voters for a bond for another 20 years.
Another thing we saw this year is we had over 100 new kids enroll in our district in the last 12 months. That's a huge spike for us compared to what we typically have.
Your mic's not.
I don't think my mic's on,
Hey,
but
shut your mic down.
I know that. I think you can all hear me. So.
Right, yeah. No, thank you for the answer. And to further that,
Can I add to that, Mr.
Yes, please.
President? Were you going to go to a different question?
no, I was gonna, but I can pivot. Thank you. No.
I would like to share, I explained the calculation for how Plain City Elementary is over 100% capacity. Let me explain to you about the high school. So we are over 100% capacity at the high school. It doesn't mean that every classroom is completely full. We can take more students in maybe a biology class or an English class. We also have students and families coming to us asking for more elective opportunities, FFA and different programs. We don't have anywhere to put them, even if we wanted to. The board wants to provide more opportunities and elective courses for our students and for our families, but we wouldn't be able to house them. And we have a teacher, it's 1 or 2 teachers right now. I think it changed from last year to this year. Every teacher has their own classroom, but now we have 2 teachers on carts. They don't have their own classroom. They're on a cart, they push it around. One teacher is out of the classroom for lunch or planning. That teacher in the cart wheels their cart in and has class. That's how tight we are at the high school.
Thank you. And just to furthermore, talk a little bit more, one of my questions was, the bond ties into a 10-year master facility plan. What's the long-term vision there?
So the master facility planning process was a 4-month process last fall at this time with over 60 community members. It was one of the best processes that I've ever went through, because put 60 committed, devoted community members in one room and say, okay guys, we have to come up with one plan. It seems kind of impossible, but this committee did do that. We put every possible facility plan on the wall that was possible. We started with 10. As we started going through the process of elimination and pulling some off, 2 more were added along the way. And how we landed on this junior high plan, building a junior high and making it 6th, 7th, and 8th grade building, why the community landed on this, it was the best cost to provide the most amount of space to not have to return to our taxpayers for the longest amount of time. Some people in that room wanted a new high school, like I was thinking a new high school early on in that process, convert this building to a junior high, but that wasn't most cost effective for our taxpayers by building a new high school. Well, some families like Amy was thinking, well, why aren't we getting a new elementary at the property that you own on Butler 161, build a new elementary there, like MI told them? But then if you have to build an elementary there, you're not fixing the capacity at the other buildings, so now you're building 2 buildings. Those cost factors, 2 projects like that, are more expensive than this plan where it's build 1 brand new building, add on some classrooms to expand a couple buildings. That goal was to create the most amount of space in 10 years from right now with the projections that we have. And what it does is bring our buildings to 80% capacity in 10 years, so years 11 through 15, we have some time to see what has happened with the development and the houses that are coming in to determine what's next step. So to answer your question about the plan being proposed for years 1 through 10, actually this plan is proposed to prepare our community for years 11 through 15.
Okay, great, thank you. So why is a bond the right answer instead of a levy?
Yeah, there you go.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah.
All right. So for the bond, we essentially do not have enough of a reserve, and we're not bringing in enough of revenue every year to pay for this project long term. So that's why we're asking our voters for the ability to go out and borrow the funds that we need to actually construct the new junior high addition, to do the renovations needed to increase our capacity, and part of that is to levy additional tax, which would then be used to make our debt payments every year. Now, one of the things we took into consideration of when we're developing the master facility plan is, do we want an additional building? Right now we have 5 school buildings, do we want 6? Do we want 7? Well, the issue with that is that costs more operating dollars, because then you have to staff an extra building, an extra 2 buildings. So by doing this plan, we're able to stay off the ballot for new operating dollars. Because essentially what we're doing is we're shifting staff from the current junior high up to the new junior high, And we're not adding an additional principal, additional lunch ladies, additional custodians. So that's why we went with that route. When we go to a bond market, they're going to expect to see a dedicated revenue source. And so that's how we can get the best rates possible, keep our interest rates low, which keeps our debt payments low, but also reduces the need to ask for additional money from the taxpayers. So that's why we went with the route of the bond. And also that way it's a dedicated revenue source. So if we do have anything pulled out from us at the state level or the federal level, in terms of our local funding, we know we have a protected source and we can pay off the bonds and have these buildings stay open.
Mark, why don't you just make the developers pay for the new building?
Because there's no legal mechanism to force just the developers or just the people who are buying into a development to pay for the local share of a property tax. Under Article 12 of the Ohio Constitution, if anyone wants to look it up, it is a rainy night, and it's available online. You can, there is a uniform system of taxation. So because you live in Darby Station doesn't mean you can pay a different tax rate than someone who lives in a 200-year-old farmhouse. Everyone has to pay the same tax rate and the same tax and jurisdiction. So legally speaking, it's not something we can do.
Thank you. And last question, Mr. Bayless did touch on it. We talked about opportunities that we can't even provide now. Are there opportunities that you would actually, that they have now that you would have to remove if the bond wasn't passed, potentially?
My hands back.
We're like, well, there we are for that staff.
Right, I mean, I look at Marysville and I go,
Oh, all right.
Well, that's an operating. That's all operating
All right.
stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, that ties to our operating budget. Our operating budget is strong. So if the bond doesn't pass, that is not on the table. But what is on the table is the inability for us to have a long-term facility solution for our staff and our students. So if we have to divert operating dollars to hook up a modular unit, to pay the lease on it, to keep up the maintenance on it, that's millions of dollars, about $1 million that would then be taken out of the classroom to go towards modular units. So we might have to shift some of our operating budget. Right now, we're budgeting 2 to 3 new teachers a year based on a projected enrollment. But if we have to do the modular units, then we might have to say only 1 new teacher, instead of 2, and try to shift our budget around to stay within our boundaries or accept our board policy. And instead of focusing more on the classroom, we're just looking to spend our operating dollars on these modular units, which, by nature, they're temporary. And if we were to put, say, some on Plain City Elementary, where that's the greatest need right now, those kids are not going to stay in Plain City forever. So eventually we'll have to put more modular units on Canaan when they age out to that building. And then they're going to age up to the junior high, then they age up to the high school. So that's going to be a very expensive solution that won't provide a long-term answer.
So is it fair to say that while today there's not a plan for what would be cut, without the bond passing and new facilities, money will have to be redirected to house through modulars, and that could in turn impact opportunities available to our students?
Yeah, that would be, I would say that's fair to say, because we're, instead of dedicating it to our staff and our students, it would be towards temporary walls and trying to, as Dr. Miller said, we have an obligation and duty to educate every child who resides in our district, regardless of how long they've been here, how long their family's been here, if their grandfather graduated here or not. We have to educate them. By law, that's what we have to do. We're a public school district. So we'll have to find ways of housing them. And if that's the way that, I hope that's not the way we have to go, but if that's what we have to do, then unfortunately that's the route we have to go, and that would put a strain on our operating budget.
Thank you, Mr. Ennis. Maybe you can answer this one, Dr. Miller. Beyond the walls and roofs, though, this bond, how will it change our student experience? I mean, we're not going to have crowded class. Nobody wants crowded classrooms. I don't want my child in a trailer. What other things that, as a parent, I'm not thinking about that would change that experience?
The
first thing that comes to mind is we have a 70-year-old building in our portfolio, and I believe right now our 7th and 8th graders don't get the same educational experience as 7th and 8th graders in Dublin. And I believe that we can build a 6th, 7th, and 8th grade building that gives all of our students, all of our teachers, all of our staff what they need to give them the very best opportunities: athletics, cafeteria, auditorium, classrooms, lights, air, AC, heat, flushing toilets. Our students deserve the very best, and so that is the first example I can give you is 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. That building will be built for what our families deserve.
Thank you for answering my questions, Anika.
Thank you.
Now, since Mr. White brought up, misinformation, I'll just say last night I was at Amy's neighborhood, Darby Station, and I had about 4 of the residents ask me when the new elementary school is going to be built over on the corner of that property.
We told our sales lady to knock it off.
Pardon me?
We told our sales lady to knock it off.
Yeah, so that's one thing that MI has told people who are buying at Darby Station, that there's going to be a new elementary school there. And several of them told me that MI's representative told them that they gave us the land to build that elementary school. And that's not accurate either.
Not true.
They sold us that land back at a premium. But speaking of land, I know there's some concern in the community that, boy, you're cramming 2 buildings on a very small high school property. We have to remember what we know that maybe the community doesn't know, and that is have we finished acquiring 12 acres, or we're in the process?
In contract.
In contract on 12 additional acres here at the high school, 2 acres to the north and 6 acres across. So that'll allow us to build sports fields, share sports fields, and down the road, if we build the new junior high, we won't have to bus junior high students up here for practices of our athletic fields here. We'll share our athletic fields. And the other thing is, I've heard people say, well, I don't think it's a great idea to have 6th graders and seniors interacting. That will not be happening unless a 6th grader is gifted and is taking some classes at the high school, or an 8th grader. They'll be escorted through key card access. So we will not have interaction. The junior high, the new junior high will have its own cafeteria, its own 2 gymnasiums. There are 2 buildings on a campus, but they're not connected, and people wandering aimlessly from one to the other.
And it's more than just the physical space too. It has a lot to do with the opportunities that will come with having the additional space. FFA is a big one. We have this board really wants to see that through. We don't have the space to do it now. It's starting as a club now. We're hoping that we can evolve it into a full-fledged program. That's one example. So the education, when we say educational opportunities, we're not talking about walking around a nice new shiny school building. That would be great, but there's so much more that we can be providing our students to give them a broader educational experience and hopefully foster the love of learning about all different kinds of things.
Right. And that's not even addressing class size. I mean, class size is a huge factor in learning, and who wants their kid to have 6 or 7 more students in their class than what they maybe would if we have to, if we have more space, we can make smaller class sizes, and we can allow those teachers to focus more intently on the students they have and not try to spread it out as thin as they are having to now even.
Dr. Miller, I'm curious. We have high school teachers right now who are teaching college credit plus. If we have to make some choices on some of our educational offerings, is college credit plus something that might be compromised? We maybe not offer as many, the robust number of college credit plus courses we do now, because if your kids are taking college credit plus while they're in high school, those are college classes you don't have to pay for. And we have on our report here that 40% JA graduates earn college credit plus, which averages a savings of $9,600 per family in terms of them taking those courses in college.
So I wasn't prepared for that question, Mr. Hooley, but I can promise you that we would do everything we can to not take college credit plus opportunities away from our students. I mean, what would come first is state requirements to earn a high school graduation, but we would do everything we can to provide all the CCP that our students want and need.
Will we be able to increase our CCP offerings with the new buildings?
I don't think right now we would be able to create any more class offerings. I mean, we could be creative with the schedule and where students are meeting teachers for certain opportunities, but I can't think of any creative way of how we're going to create more CCP opportunities without more space.
Right.
Right, that was my question. If the bond passes, can we create, would that allow us to create more CCP classes?
With the space,
Yes.
we will always look to what our students need and are asking for and see what the interest is and see how that will set them up for like being on Jonathan Alder High School, but absolutely with the space, we can provide more opportunity and more classes.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I got one.
Yes, Frank?
Can everybody hear me? Because I don't want to speak now. I want to get you. These people see me every month. The last time we had a special meeting here, it was standing room only. Every board meeting I go to, we had 2 visitors who showed up at the board meetings. They filmed every board meeting. Last meeting, 33 people watched the video of what went on the board meeting. These people do one well job. I listen to where they go to watch all these meetings to see if we get our money. They don't spend it unwisely. They do everything they can do for the school district. Not only are we going to pay more tax money, they are too, because they live in our district. Their taxes are going to grow too. When it comes to our elections, instead of looking so much at our property taxes here, we need to look at the officials that we hire when we vote in Madison County and Plain City. And they're the ones that control our property taxes, like Bayless Court, our golf course in Marysville. We pay for the upkeep there, pay for the people that take care of it. That all comes out of the property taxes. Look at how much we're paying the judge in Madison County for his service there. You want to know what to do, investigate the people that are running for these offices and ask them, are you against lowering taxes? And then they help us. I mean, I have talked to farmers that spend $50,000 a year in taxes, and they have no child that goes to this school. I've talked to other ones that have a small farm for 100 acres, they're paying $15,000 a year in property tax, and they have no kids here. At the one meeting, they talked about FFA. I watched 10 kids go to the prayer bank, borrow 10 FFA jackets to bring up here to give a presentation to these people about FFA. I was a member of FFA. I was an officer in 71. In 1971, Plain City was larger than Dublin. Now Dublin has 3 high schools, we have 1. We were compared to Old Town Carrier. They're just a little bit bigger than us. They have 3 high schools, we have 1. These people have done good enough. We never, like I said, I graduated in 71, both of my kids graduated in 2000 and something. We never seen anything until 2002 till this school was built. Every year we hear different school districts begging for money. Everywhere, Dublin, Ingles, Westerville, Worthington. This is the first year since, what, 2002? That we've asked for money for the school district. And the reason we're asking for it, 1971, we had 2,500 people in this community. Now we're over 5,000. You want a Kroger or Myers in your country, in your town, you have to have over 6,000 to 7,000 people living here for them to bring a store into your community. We have 2,500 more lots available to build houses. 2 people per house, another 5,000 people coming in this community. And if they have kids, where we're going to put them? Again, next election, I'll vote for every one of these people. Before, I didn't look at the names, but see, I vote for them. But you know what, I've learned something. By coming to every meeting, I missed one. I'm sorry, I missed one.
We noticed.
But I've come to every meeting, and I'm really disappointed. I've seen them there. I don't know your name, but I've seen them. As you walk in there, there's a sign-in sheet, sign your name on it. And then there's an agenda sheet, and they go what they're going to talk about. And every agenda, there's a spot in there to list the people that come to the meeting. Well, you don't have to, because nobody comes. And everything they brought up tonight, we talked about in these meetings, the sixth graders here, the FFA. One thing we didn't talk about, did you know that the state of Ohio says your child can't charge lunch if he forgets his money? He can't eat. These people have found a way to do it. And then the spring before school started, how much did you get donation? Over $2,100 to catch up on the food
It was a lot.
bill?
It was every year the community steps up and pays the overdue food bills. It's amazing.
Well, probably by January, we're going to run out of money again on that.
Great.
But you never hear about things that these people do, like things like that. So I'm setting up. I love these people to death. I'll be next meeting in what, another week?
Yep. Next Tuesday night.
Yeah. I should be there.
Good.
Anyway, I'd like to see more people show up. I mean, it's sad. All 5,000 people in our community, we have 3 people show up to the board meeting. That's all I've got to say.
Hey, Frank, I want to thank you, and I want to reiterate that the last time we had a property tax on the ballot was 2002.
Yes.
And what it did was build this facility, Plain City Elementary, Monroe, and it renovated Canaan. That levy was over 8 mills at the time. Today, you're only paying about 1.5 mills for that levy. The reason it's gone down is because more people moved into our community and it's sharing that cost. So just keep in mind, we are a very, very conservative district. Financially, we are very conservative. And we've always spent your money well, and we promise that we will do the same thing. But keep in mind, it is an investment. It's just like Mr. Storts said. This is an investment. It's not an investment in Steve Votaw or Bruce or Sonia. It's not an investment in junior high, in Jonathan Alder schools so much as it is an investment in our kids. And when you hear about Mr. Storts and what his kids are doing, I know what my kids are doing, what your kids are doing. It's phenomenal. Our kids leave Jonathan Alder with a great education and a great foundation for future success. And so it really is an investment. And we are very conscientious about tax dollars. We know it's tough. It's a really tough time right now. But the reality is, for this bond, right now, if it passes and you had a $100,000 home, I think it would be $3 a week that it would cost you. It's probably about $15 a week if you had a $400,000 home. But keep in mind, every new house that's built in our community, the minute somebody moves into that house, they have to start paying that tax, and it starts reducing what you pay. And so let's just say that there's 5,000 homes, I think, on the books to be built in the next 5 to 10 years. That's going to drop that down in half, at least. And so it really is an investment in our kids, in our schools, and in our community. And I really hope that you'll consider voting yes. Seriously, it's just so needed.
Steve, when does that O2 bond fall off?
It falls off, I believe, in 2030. Yeah, so you'll stop paying for that as well in 2030.
And the amount that this bond can raise is fixed. So as more people move in, we don't get more money. Your share of what you're paying toward that approved amount goes down. The amount of money the bond raises stays fixed.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. Thank you for contributing to all of you. You forgot to mention Trevor and all the great things he's doing. And being an Alder grad.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Trevor, you're right, yes.
Good luck. Good luck, Trevor. If you have any additional questions, please spread the word. People are more than welcome to reach out to us. We have been at every home football game. We'll be at the Pumpkins on Main event. We're at any of the community caravans that are going on in the newer neighborhoods. We're available. You can also email us or you can call us. Our cell phones and our email addresses are all available online to answer anybody's questions. Thank you so much, everybody, and we really appreciate you coming out tonight. And I won't hold it against you if you don't come to every board meeting, but I can't speak for Frank. Thank you. Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Roll call?
Second here. Mrs. Detweiler.
Yes.
Mr. Hooley.
Yes.
Mr. McCartney.
Yes.
Mr. Votaw.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
The motion passed. We're adjourned.